Hey, welcome. Hey, Twistmint. Hey guys, thanks for being here and for listening. For the few of you who like to listen, most people leave when I play. Most people leave when I play music, so not a surprise. So okay, hold on. Let me set up equipment once again. Amazing how few people are left on Periscope. It really is. It really is. It's like shrinking. I saw a little pause in the signal there. Always, like right at the beginning of my broadcast, I start to get like a bad signal. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna pull up YouTube here, and then I keep an eye on the signal to see if we're steady. Okay. There was a momentary pause, and Periscope could not handle it. YouTube, however, did handle it. Okay, there we go. So, must be many on your golf network. Well, welcome. Not a lot of people today so far. Like I said, when I play music, people leave, so I guess that's not so unusual. So come on back in now. The music is finished. Music is finished. You can come in now. Oh, what? This is shaken. This is shaken. Hello, Daryl. How you did that? Did what? Hey, Michevsky Goran. Hello, Twin Mom. Hello, guys. So, Twist Mint, Great Gold. John. How are you doing, John? And who am I missing here? Just welcome to people on YouTube. Couple of people left on YouTube. Deja vu, hello, F-Stop. Don't joke about the shakes. Oh, I can joke about the shakes. We're probably going to get one during the broadcast. Typically, we get one during the broadcast. So, I guess, wow. I mean, everyone is must not like. Should I end my broadcast? I don't think my topic is of any interest. So I'm not going to waste my time if people don't like it. I saw trolls on the Seismo Live. What does that mean? So anyway, so yeah, if people aren't interested in the topic, or they don't understand what the topic is, then I'm okay with cutting it short. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, the topic is about you allegedly here. Allegedly. Okay. So the topic is really New York City guns. Oh my gosh. Do you have a tremor detector made from a pie? I guess I could do that, John. Hello, Min. Hello, Min. Yes, I could do that. I could make a hello, June in Hobill. I saw these pie detectors. Yeah, you can even have like moisture detectors and any number of things you can do with a pie. So my pie is set for motion detection, actually. So they're in motion detection mode. Can't afford a Tesla, John. Maybe when my YouTube channel is successful, I can buy a Tesla. At the moment, I can't afford a Tesla. So, yeah, Tesla is not in the cards right now. Love to have one, even though it tracks me. If a Tesla were Batman's Batmobile, he'd never be able to hide that. So, this is kind of cruel here. Is there a what do you call this? A conspiracy? Money, buy money go buy now. Okay, Daryl, bye. Would it be a three or an S? Uh, I'm okay with a three. Three's not that bad. It's like 40 grand for a three, plus taxes, license, and all that. You're up to probably 45 cash. Cash. I don't think there's no lease or anything. It's basically fork out the cash. Tesla can drive you home after a big night eventually. Not yet. Not officially. Hello, Sargar 12. How are you doing? How are you guys doing? So, anyway, uh, the topic actually is about surveillance. That's really what it's all about. I was driving through the freeway today and I started thinking about it again. Every time I drive through the freeway, it makes me think. Did you see Trump when he visited North? Did you see him? Did you go to the border, D. Halma, and said, "Oh, there's Trump. There's Kim." Did you do that, D. Halma? Driving makes you think. There was a lot to think, earthquakes, prepping. We were like, thinking about the things that we maybe have forgotten to prep for. And, one leg on both sides of the border. There you go. So, hello, Venice guy. I'm wondering what use a bat utility belt would be. So, for example, you know, uh, given that the earthquake um, was a 7.1, then the forecast is that within the next 2 weeks, almost 100% chance we're gonna get some sixes and some fives, which are not insubstantial earthquakes. So I checked the house. I didn't see any cracking in the foundation or anything in the house. So there's some cracks. I didn't know. I don't know if the cracks are new or not. I can't tell. Watching the signal here was just kind of slowing down. My Wi-Fi was starting to go again there. So, uh, so I was thinking about, for those of you in California, the chances of getting another earthquake of a significant kind, even if it's under 7.1. Hello, Mama Goo. If it's under 7.1, I mean, let's say you get a 7. Zuck. 7 is under 7.1. A 7. Let's say you get a 7. Well, things would collapse with 7. So that's it could trigger other things too. So I'm suggesting to you that if you don't have a good supply of water and you didn't get water containers from the store, if you're in California, in Southern California, then I advise that you fill up your tubs with water now. We have enough warning here. You're getting a warning. Fill up your tubs with water. You're not going to drink it. Fill up your tubs with water, then you have extra water. You need water to drink, so go to the store and get some water to drink if you don't have any containers. But fill up your tubs with water. That you can put 40 gallons in a tub. So good night, Silk. You leaving already, Silk? So yeah. So if you're in Southern California, the chances of getting a aftershock all the way up to 7.0 is extremely high. In fact, it's almost guaranteed. So in the next 2 weeks, so you need a some sort of go bag. You need some sort of go bag, go backpack, go something, and you need to fill up your tub with water. If your house collapses, then you need something to access that you can take with you. Earthquakes are scary. What if we need to shower? Fill it up after the shower. Hello, Rex. Fill it up, shower, and then after the shower, leave it filled. So it's just like somebody took an extra bath and just leave it there. And every time you shower, you have to obviously empty it out. Then you shower and then you fill it back in, and then that will keep you with reserve. Maybe you need to go on a cruise for a yacht for a hello Rex. How you doing, buddy? So that's. I wonder if you have a local network problems. But my favorite theory is the neighbor's microwave. You can put water directly into toilet tank to flush. Uh, so you need a small bucket for that. So where's the water gonna come from? From the tub. So get a tub and then fill it up with water. Well, you have a tub. Fill up the tub with water, and don't leave it empty. If you shower, fill it up after the shower, and do it for the next few days. So at least we have a warning here. Many times you don't get a warning that this is going to happen. Solar showers, easy to make. Also, tub water bladders, fairly cheap to buy. Yes, Thomas Gordon, but it's not practical to have a bath tub bladder because you have to use the tub to take a shower. So those things are not going to be able to sustain filling and refilling. So I wouldn't think that would be a good idea. I got 4 big jugs now. Good, good, good. And the other thing that I'm saying is get yourself one of these. This is a cheap Baofeng radio. You can get a Baofeng UV5R for used to be $25. And at the very least, you can listen. You need a license to talk on this, but at the very least, you need to listen. So,
channel mode.
so during an emergency, this was quite useful to know the extent of it. So, an earthquake happens. You don't know where it is happening and how far. And in my case, without the TV on in seconds, and you're not going to have a TV when the power's down. In a matter of seconds, I actually found out everything I needed to find out, which is in 1 minute. How many earthquakes have you been through? Well, in the last 2 days, probably 1,000, Rex. You can buy a secondhand trough, keep the bladder in the garage. Just a suggestion. Yeah, but you can't stack anything on it. I prefer to have the long-term storage, and you can't really. That's soft and it can actually break. So I prefer long-term storage in stackable water containers, about several that are 5-gallon size, and then you can get one big drum for 55 gallons that you can leave in your backyard or use it to capture rain. And then you have smaller ones, and that the smaller ones for your easy water supply. The big one is to pour into the smaller ones because you got to be able to carry it. You can't carry 55 gallons. You can't carry 40 gallons. You can't carry 20 gallons. So I would always have some 5-gallon size ones, and you can actually get those those standard water bottle size, like this size, in a plastic case, and you can stack this in. You can stack 2 of these, and that's probably going to give you, I don't know, 15 gallons or something. If you get 2 stacks of these, and they're firm enough to support 2 layers. I do agree, several different water filter types myself. That's my suggestion there. So have 5-gallon ones. There are links to several of my videos. The ones I have one. I in retrospect, I should have paid more and gotten the ones that are stackable. The 5-gallon ones, I would prefer to have them stackable, and I'd get a sufficient size for at least one 5-gallon one per person, at least maybe 2 per person, and then have a big drum outside that you can fill, and then you can refill the smaller containers, and that's what I would suggest. So, and then get a radio. Get a radio again, $25. Okay, 25 bucks, and now it does take a bit of skill to go program these, but you can figure that out later. Do you have a portable desalination device for your yacht? No, John, but my yacht has 40 gallons of water at any one time. So every time we use it, we fill it up because it has running water and power water, pressure water. So so there's 40 gallons on the boat always. So it's always there. We always use water to wash hands and things. So it's always full of water. It's easy to fill up. I went 2 weeks without electricity. Woke you up? Yeah. I'd probably suffer without electricity, and I can't broadcast without electricity. You won't see me here. So if you don't see me and you looked at California and we're in earthquakes, then you know that why there won't be any broadcast. Hello, Ann Gables. Earthquakes have killed up to 800 people in one go in the past. The deadliest one in the U.S. killed about 3,000. Well, I did live through the San Francisco one where the freeways collapsed. Many people died there. And then the Northridge one, 67 people died in that. When I was young, in a different country, I was in an eight. Hundreds of people died in that. Buildings collapsed and crushed everyone in between, kind of like the World Trade Center. So it was bad. Well, at least you're. Yes, I was prepared. The video yesterday was about preparation, and then we got the actual earthquake. Oh my God! Forget about the yacht. Why would I forget about the yacht? Yacht's perfect. Why would I forget about it? I can't forget it. It's walking distance. If my house collapses, there's a place to stay. So you're like earthquake magnet. Yes. So it's. I worry about the door frame spot. Is a common misconception that cropped up when an old photo of a house where only the door frame survived because it's not safe on water. I don't have to leave. I can just stay on. Why is it not safe in the water? If the earthquake is in California, there's not going to be a tsunami. It's going to go out. It's going to go. Any waves are going to go outwards, not towards. So yeah, anytime you have an earthquake, the earthquake leaves the point of the earthquake and causes damage elsewhere. It doesn't cause damage in California. Batman could hide in his car, but safe in a cave these days. Yeah, Batman might have a problem with the earthquake. He probably can't protect himself from an earthquake. So the point of the title, by the way, has nothing to do with the earthquake. The point of the title is relating to surveillance. I was just thinking to myself, have you guys seen like car chases in California, in Los Angeles? We have, a car chase every day. What is worse, a hurricane or an earthquake? At least a hurricane, you get a warning. Yes, a hurricane, you get a warning. I've been through hundreds. No, yeah, probably a couple of thousand hurricanes, maybe. I've been in a lot of hurricanes. So let me see how many. How many would have I gotten? At least 1,000 hurricanes, where I was personally in it. So I'm kind of used to hurricanes. So not as worried about hurricanes if your house is sturdy. Batman may have to worry about it. Everyone saw the white truck chase years ago in L.A. No, forgetting about that chase. The idea is, the scenario in the Batman character is that he goes around on his Batmobile and then he manages to disappear every night. He manages to disappear, and I believe his Batmobile is self-driving as well. So Batman doesn't have to be next to the Batmobile, but the Batmobile manages to disappear. And I was just thinking, in this society, can you actually do that? And remember, the Batman was in a big city, was New York, right? New York like city, like Gotham is New York, right? And can you actually think about hiding in the middle of Manhattan, I'd take the Batmobile. It's self-driving. It'll probably take you. So, do you actually believe that you can actually hide? So now, translate this to you. Do you actually think you can hide, with your car in a place like L.A.? Well, the bad news is, folks, no, it's no longer possible, especially in L.A. Maybe you can do it in Kentucky, but maybe you can hide your car in Kentucky, but there's absolutely no chance you can hide in LA. Let me just tell you my pet peeves. Ask Mr. Musk, he may know the answer. It's for real. Wonder Woman can hide with her invisible jet. Well, Batman doesn't have an invisible car. He has to use some sort of stealth device. No need for GPS trackers. You see, many of you don't realize this, that in many, many cities, in many, many big cities, they already have sensors for license plates. When you park your car, they can actually, I don't know, some of you don't even think about this. You go to a parking lot and you park your car, and when you exit, some parking lots don't even ask for your ticket. It just opens. And, do you ever wonder about that? You go to the parking lot and then you prepay it. You go watch a movie, whatever. You prepay it upstairs or wherever above, where you're supposed to go. Then you go back to your car and drive out, and the gate just opens for you without, you're ready to stick in your ticket. It doesn't do that. It just opens up, and then you go. And you say, oh, that's cool. How'd they do that? How'd they do that? Oh, maybe there's something in the ticket. You're thinking of the ticket itself, right? You're saying, oh, maybe there's an RFID in the ticket, and they detect the ticket, and they open up. No. So what it is when you get your ticket the first time, there's a sucking camera that takes a photograph of your car license plates as you get the ticket. This is standard operating procedure. You get the ticket, there's a camera in the back. Look up. By the way, this shaking is me shaking, not the earthquake. Okay. Look up, there's a camera in the back. When you're ready to exit, there's a camera in the back again. So if you look up, and I've actually, sometimes I have to look for these. My eyes are like very attuned to looking for these. Then I see the camera behind me. And so now they've recorded my my license plate. So now every time I go to this particular mall or building, then I know that my license plate has been recorded. Now in this case, the camera's at the back. Now, in case you didn't know, the machine itself, the ticket machine, has a camera too. So they see your face as you're paying for or pulling out a ticket. They have a picture of your face as well. And people just don't react to this. It's like, hey, no big deal. This is the way it is today. We don't really care. That's the way it is. We accept it. It's the way of life in the world. It's like, zuck, people. This is not the way of life. Batman would zucking complain because he will say, what the zuck? I can't go anywhere without the surveillance cameras. And Batman does not have a license plate. Batman does not have a license plate. There's some toes where you can travel through underground mine shafts by foot to get around. Biometrics for car. So here's the problem, and it's gotten so sophisticated that in many intersections here in LA, there are, in fact, I happen to be near one, and it really bugs me because every time I pass through there, it's maddening. And I will relate the story again to you. One of my family members got a ticket. Turning in one of those corners that I'm talking about. And and the ticket was facially recognized. So didn't cite the owner of the car, but cited the driver by facial recognition. Facial fucking recognition, and he said, "Okay, you driver have the ticket. The owner of the car, me, does not have the ticket. Somebody's using my car. That person got the ticket. I did not get the ticket. They have a picture of the driver's of the license, the plate of the car. No ticket for me. The driver got a ticket specifically with facial recognition, and it's like, fuck." So now they're doing facial recognition on you constantly, and this happened to be used for giving a ticket. Now, what is something that is interesting here that nobody's actually thinking about is that the facial recognition was done by a contractor. The facial recognition was done not by the government, not by the city government, not by any of those, was done by a contractor. So the contractor looked up a database. So now that contractor has access to the entire database of DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles. They have the entire database of photographs of driver's licenses, and they use that then to compare and do facial recognition. So anybody with a driver's license, you're in the database. Also, if you're in the FBI database, that's a secondary database. Combining those two databases of every DMV in the world, in the U.S. and the FBI database, then you're in some database. Unless you're a little kid. Always wear a fake nose and glasses. Well, then they'll do a manual review and say, okay, we saw you with this car. Now, again, this is real. I'm not kidding here. I'm not being a tinfoil hat. I'm telling you about reality here. And the reality is that the contractor is a separate company, and they were given third-party access. This is really what bugs me. Third-party access. Yes, the license plate reader was in the back. When you get a ticket from the state of California, they take a picture of the license plate. They also take a frontal shot. When you use by the way, all the people who love the deep state over in San Francisco. So when you go through the Golden Gate Bridge, they don't have tickets anymore. They don't. Nobody watches the gates anymore. You just drive through. You drive through the Golden Gate Bridge. There's no more stops, for payment. You get the bill in the mail automatically. So again, they do that using facial recognition and license plate recognition. And then you get the bill, and then you're supposed to pay for it, or else. You are correct, sir, about all of this. Thank you, Spirit. One guy flipped off a camera and got a ticket in the mail. So, anyway, it's very elaborate in California because it's called Fast Track. So all of California is part of Fast Track. So not just the Golden Gate Bridge, but if you take one of the carpool lanes here in one of the Fast Track lanes on the freeway here in California, you have to pay to go to the Fast Track lane. Now, how do they do this? Two different ways, guys. Two different ways. First of all, they have this device. I don't want to use it. Yeah, just exit out. If it freezes, just exit out and come back in. I don't know. It's okay on my end here. It's a problem on the Periscope side. It's okay on YouTube. Everything else is okay. How much is it to cross the GTB? What is the GTB? The what? GTB? Oh, Golden Bridge? It's expensive. To cross the Golden Gate Bridge? It's expensive. Was it like $20? It's expensive. It wasn't cheap. I don't remember anymore. Somebody can tell me from Northern California. Some of you are from Northern, like, hey, what is it? Hey, what does it cost to go through the Golden Gate Bridge if you don't have any Golden State Bridge? What is a Golden State Bridge? $6? Really? But what if you go back and forth? Is that why I got more than that? Because do you pay to walk across? No. Well, they'll facially recognize you, but they don't have a license plate. All new licenses will have an RFID chip, so you can't go around. Yes, that's part of what I'm talking about. So, anyway, in California, you use the lanes. There's cameras and all the freeways. As I was driving today, uh, you know, many cameras saw where I was going, got my license plate. If you do not have an RFID reader and you cross into, if you do not have an RFID device to identify your car as paid, and you cross into one of the fast track lanes, you'll get something in the mail that says, "Zuck, you didn't pay the bill. We're going to give you a ticket." So I got one of those accidentally because I haven't driven in a while in that area, and I didn't realize what fast track was because I don't have that. I don't commute. So I accidentally got into the what I thought was the carpool lane, but I guess it wasn't carpool anymore. It was a fast track lane, and they hit me with a ticket again based on plate recognition. So they do plate recognition. Now, where this is going to is a little bit more complicated. Now, this is something that many of you actually don't realize. The data for car movement, license plate movements, RFID, identification of which freeway you were on, cameras on the street with facial recognition, and license plate recognition, actually is data that's not limited to the government. This is the part that's kind of shocking, and this is really what this Batman thing is all about, because none of you actually have any idea that this is the case. So I'm going to tell you kind of a reality that you may not realize, and that is whatever whatever is stored in the database for facial recognition, plate recognition, cameras in street corners, RFID, tracking your movements around the city. This was in an article, trying to recall if it was The Guardian or The Intercept. I can't remember which one. But one of the publications published that this data was used by Palantir. This data was used by Palantir. So if Batman was going around, they would have recognized the car and recognized the Batman face and said, "Here's the guy. We know what exit he took. We know what part of town he's in, and we keep seeing him in this part of town, and all of these surveillance cameras point to him located in Beverly Hills." I don't know how I can get around in Beverly Hills. There's a lot of traffic. But here, do you see what I'm trying to get at here? Is there's so much of this that third parties have access to this database. And what happened was Palantir, who has access to not just the driver's license DMV photo system, the FBI, because they're also contractors for the federal government that have access to the FBI database. They have access to any company who wishes to help them, and they have photos. They will have access to that database as well. They have access to the traffic light cameras. They have access to the data used for plate recognition and camera recognition. This data was used in a contract between the city of Los Angeles and Palantir to do pre-crime. This is real. I didn't make this up. There's an actual contract between the city of LA and Palantir using this data that I just mentioned to you, combined with all other data they have. They must have Equifax data. They must have social media data from Facebook, from Axiom, Intellius, and all that. They must have search data. They must have all this data they've bought and purchased, location data that each one of you have because you're not paying attention. When did they start to plate RFID chips? There's no RFID chips on plates. They give you the RFID when you're using Fast Track. But many states already have RFID on driver's licenses. They can also detect that. So now they have multiple ways of detecting your movements around the city through your, very soon for all, RFID driver's licenses. Then they have plate recognition software, facial recognition software, and specialty RFID for things in California like Fast Track. And all of this data can be combined with other databases that they have and track everyone's movements at any one time without even having access to your social media data. Now, they have your real name. So they know that Mr. Mad Cow, Mad is his first name, Cow is his last name. They know everything about Mad Cow. And Mad Cow, has been found driving around these cities, and then they have your real name, which they can they can now compare this to your social media data, find you in the internet, and say, oh, not only is Mr. Mad Cow doing all these visits, he's very anti-Trump. He's one of the resist people. And he has many comments on social media that's against Trump, and also this is what kind of things he buys, and this is kind of his activities on the internet. He doesn't have a VPN, so now we know this is all the websites he visits daily, and this is what he likes. He likes this kind of material on his computer every night. I don't know people. If Batman's trying to be a superhero, I don't think he can survive. I don't think he can keep his identity safe. I don't think he can keep his identity safe in today's world. And I don't know why you guys think that this is nothing. All of you are thinking, well, no big deal. I mean, who cares? I'm on Facebook. What's a big deal? I'm gonna die anyway, so they have my data. But what the heck? Who cares? I don't do anything. And my goodness, it's like the power. The power. We're talking about an entity that has collective data on, millions and millions. The majority of Americans, they have a collective database on, everyone, including babies probably, and have all the data, your social security numbers, your earnings, your Equifax, your credit reports. Combine this with everything that they know about you, your name, your address, third parties with this kind of data, and they're using this to influence and to change, to see if they can influence your behavior. And people are saying, well, we don't care. This is not important. My goodness, no wonder nobody watches my YouTube channel, because nobody cares about this. No one's gonna have any more superheroes like Batman. It's not gonna happen because he's gonna be identified and they're gonna take him to jail. They have it all. Hello, Joe. Or should I call you Jillian now? I'm so confused. Jillane. Locked up. What the zuck is this? Locked up. What the zuck is what? Go to YouTube. It doesn't lock up on YouTube. Everything is perfect on YouTube. It's Periscope is unsteady. Were you all going to be run up like cattle one day? We're all going to be run up like cattle one day. Yeah, Periscope is unsteady. YouTube is very steady. All these wars are over money and control. Well, I'm just going to tell you. The So I forgot what I was saying because I read some comments. So anyway, we'll get back to it later. But the point is, I'm giving you the warning signs that even Batman couldn't hide. I don't think if somebody said, "Oh, I'd be in a car being chased on a freeway," and you watch some movies where they actually escape, uh, you know, you escape a car chase by the police. Uh, I have never seen anyone escape. Uh, sorry, sorry, bad guys. Not one person has escaped a car chase. There's a car chase in LA every single day. Not one person has escaped a car chase. You can run on the freeway for hours. Not one person has escaped a car chase. Okay? So what are you going to do in a car chase? They have, movies where they're going to chase you and you're trying to get to the border in Mexico and you think, how are you going to cross the border in Mexico? I don't understand this. What are you actually thinking? Is there a way out? No. So if there's no way out, even for somebody with just trying to escape, from a car chase, what about a motorcycle? So I said to myself, okay, motorcycle may be better because you can sneak around. Since you can go a lot faster, you can sneak around in a neighborhood and then hide. This is really what caused me to think about the Batman thing. Is you could hide a motorcycle. But boy, how are you going to do that with all the surveillance cameras and everything? They will have a last position on you, and then they can quarantine a block and say, okay, he's in this block. How the suck are you going to escape that? So all the leaves are going to block the red before you out of fuel, and the leaves are going to block the border's open, Rob. Come on now. They walk across the border every day. What the? So, not unless you have nitrogen oxide and at a straightaway, no helicopter can keep up with a car hitting 200. They don't have to, Starlight. There's many surveillance techniques that don't require that, including, I just told you, street cameras. There's no place in LA that you can drive for 200 miles an hour. Where the suck are you going to go find 200 miles an hour here? We are seen, but some are not heard. Blend in. Have you seen Fortress? No. So, yeah, you can't drive. I've seen them where the car's driven 150 miles an hour, and the helicopter is having difficulty keeping up. But the thing is that a car can't keep up. There's too much traffic here. There's no way to actually drive continuously at fast speeds. You're gonna have to slow down to 60 because of traffic. Then you have to slow down when you get into and then you slow down to 20. There's just no escape. So, and the fact that they have cameras, they have time to think about it and say, okay, he went over this exit. But what is more interesting is that there's actually a database of these movements of each and every one of us with license plates, facial recognition, getting tickets with facial recognition, and they get a database on you, Rob. When they run it, it will all be killed. Sure, Lucifer. Why are you here then? Is there any way to get around the cameras by going off-road? So in my case, I know where all the cameras are. So I do spend my time looking at them. I know where all the cameras are. So if I can help it, I can't always help it. If I can help it, I will zigzag around. I will take a long way. I may be late to my broadcast here in Periscope and YouTube. I'm going to take a long way to go someplace when I know there's a camera. If we ride bikes, can we avoid the cameras? No. How do you avoid the cameras? What if you use Uber under an alias? How are you going to pay Uber? In Cali, you guys have a lot more. How are you going to pay Uber? You're going to have a credit card, right? I'm here to listen to your bullshit. You don't know where all the cameras are. Some are in outer space. I'm so full of bullshit. Yes, Lucifer. Yes, of course. There are cameras, satellite cameras in outer space. However, they're not built for facial recognition and license plate recognition in mass surveillance. That's not what they're used for. Hello, Zach. That's not what they're used for, Lucifer. That's also, top secret. That's not distributed to Palantir. Batman will need to plate his car. I know what Batman could do. I know how he can get away. He can make it look like, like a gangster kind of car. He can change the appearance of the car. If he can change the appearance of the car in every corner and then put different license plates on it, then he might be able to trick the system. Otherwise, if it looks like the Batmobile, he's zucked. Can't do it. So in the big city here, yes, put spinners on and hydraulics. Yes, Zach. Do you have one of those? They will track you with your dental records. They can do that with cameras. Okay. So Lucifer doesn't agree with cameras. What don't you agree with? What don't you agree with? You're saying there are more cameras. What the fuck are you saying, Lucifer? You're saying there's more cameras. So you're not really disagreeing. You're just adding to it. What are you disagreeing with? Are you saying that I'm wrong? There's not enough cameras? You just said there are more cameras. I'm saying to you what is factual. We know because there was a article in a newspaper article about Palantir taking the data from driver's licenses, from plates, facial recognition, fast track here in Los Angeles, using that database to do pre-crime. Now, they didn't use satellite photos, Lucifer. They didn't do that. They used exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Rich people's problems. Okay, so these are rich people's problems. So Joe, what they did here is they said, we're going to target individuals in Compton because we have identified every gang member in Compton and every friend of every gang member. So if you happen to have a family member who is not a gang member, but it's a family member, you are now going to get harassed. So this was an actual live story. This was part of the story in this article. So certain individuals were harassed. They were not doing anything criminal, but they were harassed. They were stopped pre-crime. They were stopped and constantly interviewed, and they weren't running away because they didn't do anything, and just because they're, been identified as hanging out with certain people. So now you're saying, well, who cares? If they hang out with gangsters, then they should be watched. Okay, so that, for the average person, there's some kind of common sense attitude with that, and I'm not going to dispute that there's a thing about that. But if you're into rights, if you haven't committed a crime, then why should you be stopped if you haven't committed a crime? Well, this is the different case. This is the pre-crime program of the LAPD. This is the pre-crime program. So they actually target certain people pre-crime before they commit anything, and they scope them out, find out where they live, and go track them and say, I've seen you before, and they see their license plate, they stop them. And then, harass them a little bit. They can't take them to jail because they didn't do any crime, but they'll harass them, let them, get out of the car and do all that. And the problem that what I'm saying is that what stops them from expanding the database and using it for any purpose that they want? Let's say somebody does not like the message I'm giving here on YouTube or on Periscope. Let's say that they don't like my message. What if they said, okay, well, harass this guy? Now, this is already happening now at airports. Certain people who are into cybersecurity are being stopped at airports and being asked to hand over their devices. Uh, One of them was the chief technology officer for Mozilla, who now works for Apple. He was stopped at the airport, and he said, "Why are you doing this? I'm an American citizen." And the government says, "Well, this is the law that we're following, and we can do that to you." The law was false. They handed him a sheet of paper with a false statement of a law that didn't exist. It said, "Well, we can do that to you. We can go stop you and check your phones." And the guy said, "Well, I can't do that. I work for Apple, and without my employer's permission, I can't have you look at my phone." So he got a lawyer, and they held him at the airport, and then they basically let him go. There's no mic shaking, no, but I am shaking. I'm shaking here. Check out spychips. What? So anyway. So anyway, back to what I'm saying here. This is really bothersome to me because our data is now being handed to third parties. It's a deep fake, hey? Because if I'm saying I love Facebook, then it's deep fake. Third parties now have access to our data and are using it to manipulate our data to come up with what I consider to be mercenary information control. Meaning they're hired to do something. One of the companies that again, to let you know what this data is used for. What's the name of the bank? The big bank. Chase. So Chase, the Chase Bank hired Palantir, and again, they have access to all this data, and they're using it to J.P. Morgan, right? So J.P. Morgan hired Palantir. In fact, they're one of the biggest customers, and they are basically studying, people's characteristics and people's behavior financially, and what is this used for? What is this used for? I'm sure it's used to manipulate the markets, manipulate your behavior so they can make a profit. Chase is owned by J.P. Morgan. What do you mean YouTube is off? YouTube is running fine. I'm on YouTube right now. So what are they using this data for? You're in Italy tonight. I'm going to switch. Oh, sorry, Tony. Your lovely database is probably owned by Chinese VPNs. Your VPN is probably owned by Chinese VPNs, and I'm so safe. I'm in Italy. So the Italian government is probably checking out your data, and you're saying, "Well, I'm so safe. I'm in fucking Italy right now on a VPN." Huh? A clear violation of SEC law? No, it's not a clear violation of FCC law. FCC law is insider trading. This is not the way they're using this. Is not by insider trading, but trying to track behavior. And it starts off with data on the streets, your movements around town. The Periscope just keeps turning off here. If on Periscope, if it kind of fades away there, just exit and come back in. I can't tell you what's going on. Seems to be a Periscope problem. Signal here is good. No issue from my end here. solid, but I can see Periscope fading away. Yeah, Periscope is constantly fading. YouTube is okay. So that means it's not on my end. What if Batman had a bunch of body and face doubles, sort of like Harry clones? Well, he's going to have multiple Batmobiles and fake you out, and then, so you don't know which is which, but you still find where they go. He disappeared in one city block, and, you can do a stakeout and go figure out where it's going to come out of. Good here. Probably clouds going over us. Are you sure it's just clouds? Maybe we're being DDoSed by Palantir or some other entity. They could do that. They could go to my ISP and say, okay, what is this guy's IP address? And then we're going to go DDoS that IP address. They could do that. How much information would it would take them to go find out? If they know my real name, my location, all they have to do is ask the ISP and say, give me his IP address. And then they give the IP address and they DDoS the IP address, and then it stops my broadcast. That is not that difficult of a possibility. Or you can be like Tony. Tony says, I'm so happy my VPN is in Italy, and it's yesterday was in France, and the other day was in Germany, and a moment ago it was in Sweden. I'm so happy with the security of my VPN, and it's like, yeah, all those countries probably have a way of looking at your data. So the best place for a VPN is the US Zucking A. We just reported that 30 of the VPNs being sold are actually owned by Chinese companies. Why don't I see your live feed on Twitter? Somebody has to share it on Twitter, Tony, and this is not a Twitter account. So unless somebody shares it, then unless somebody shares it on Twitter, nobody can see it. I can't share it. This is not a Twitter account. Yes, but Great Gold, that is not your name on Twitter, so that doesn't help. So I shared. So yeah, but you have your name has to match. So does sharing even do anything nowadays? I mean, there's so few people on Periscope. I don't even know anymore. They could be trying to throttle. Yes, because look at what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you to beware that there's bad use of some of the things that they're doing. They could stop Batman. They could stop Batman. They could stop Zach even when he's wearing a Batman costume. They can stop Zach's Batmobile. Especially since Zach is moving to Florida. There will be more cameras in Florida. Zach, you go to Florida, Zach, and there's more sushi restaurants, but there's also more zucking cameras. So when Zach moves to Florida, he's like so happy. I'm moving to Florida. You'll be more zucked in Florida. So Zach is happy to be zucked. Yo, what a coincidence. What? Robo-Man. What is a coincidence, Robo-Man? Okay, I got your live feed now on Twitter. Maybe I should move into the Smoky Mountains. Yes, that would actually be better. Go hang out with some preppers, Zach. Maybe? What is a maybe? What am I saying is a maybe? This is the truth. It is already a contract between Palantir and the city of LA, and they have one with the city of Chicago. They have one with the city of Atlanta. They have one with New York. Who knows what the fuck they're doing? Hang out with some preppers, Zach. Dressed in camo. I want to see you post a picture on Twitter in camo with your rifle and a string of ammo on your chest. It's like, I'm macho. I'm a prepper. North Dakota has the least earthquakes in the U.S. What? Cali, Florida, Illinois have tons of cameras. uh, yeah, Atlanta also. Yeah, I'm sure Seattle too. You're in New York City. There you go. That's a little bit better, Tony. You going to the new Star Wars exhibit at Disney? No, I will not go to Disney. Red light cameras. Well, red light cameras, you assume that's what they're just all the things they're used for. But, you know, the cameras may not take a snapshot of you for crime purposes, but it takes continuous running video, as I found out. So one of you guys here, who's not here right now, used to work for the camera people that do this on traffic lights. So one of you here, it's not here yet tonight, but he may show up a little later, is actually is actually worked for the company that does this, and he's been away from the industry for a few years, and he was not aware that they were doing facial recognition, and he was kind of disbelieving me that they do facial recognition nowadays. He said, "Well, they didn't have the technology to do that, some years back." There's no doubt, because I saw the ticket myself, and it was completely facially recognized. There was a photo, a video, there was a link to the video. They actually have the facial shot, and there was no way that they would derive who the driver is without facial recognition, because the driver does not own the car. The car was in my name. I did not get a ticket. It was completely facially recognized, automated. So if you think that I'm making this up, I have direct experience here. I know this to be true. Not only counting the fact that I just confirmed from you with an article on the relationship or contract between Palantir and LA that they are in fact doing this. If they're doing it here, that they're doing it everywhere. And that they're able to do it. And if you look at the Palantir data, what kind of data they have, it is like shocking what kind of data they have on each and every one of us. So today, do we need a map app for finding routes with no cameras? Mostly because I'm tired of getting sushi ads. Every time I go to the market to buy some sushi, to the Japanese market to buy some sushi, I'm looking at the zucking cameras, like say, zuck. That is one of the areas with a camera, and it's so dense with cameras that there's actually, you have to go back quite a few miles. You would have to add many, 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 many miles to your trip just to avoid the camera, and it's like sucked up. Stop eating raw fish. I love raw fish. It's good for me. So what do we need? So this kind of thing that, where the data collection has gone to this point where, they're tracking every move we make is really, really disturbing to me. It really, really disturbs me and my sensibilities here, because why are there no protections from Palantir getting access to all the data, even if they don't have any contract with the company? This is what I'm saying. Let me just. You like sushi now? Let me just tell you the example. Palantir has a contract with the federal government, which gives them access to the FBI database, which gives them access to the IRS database. Palantir has a contract with California, so they're able to have access to the DMV database for California, for Chicago, all the different companies they have access to. Plus, the FBI probably gives them access to that anyway. So, and then Palantir has access to medical records, because if you didn't know, your medical records are being sent to centralized health Information Exchanges, HIEs. So so the way the medical records work now is the medical records are compiled and centralized in HIEs, or Health Information Exchanges, saying that we want a standardized repository so we don't have to duplicate the data on each and every person when you go to the doctor. Yeah, right. Right. The real purpose is to track you. The really purpose is to manipulate. That's another example I'm going to give you, because some of you may have known. If you're in America, you don't have any knowledge of this. Okay? If you're not from the U.S., you may not have any knowledge of this, but I have direct and personal experience with this, much more direct than you can imagine. How direct? Well, I actually wrote the programs, some of them, used by some governments, to collect your medical records data and send it to the Health Information Exchanges. I actually wrote some of those software that does this. Okay, and I still have contracts to do these, and I don't do it much now anymore. But back then, I used to, this is part of what I did. So I was sending. This is part of a. Obama started this, by the way. Obama started this. They actually said, okay, medical data will now be treated like FCC kind of data, and we're going to put central control over the data. So what they did now is they say, we're going to take your medical data, and as part of the requirements for being certified as a vendor of medical records products or health information products, you are going to send the data to the federal government or to the state government or regional HIE, Health Information Exchange. So these health information exchanges have your data. They have, depending on what's being sent, it has complete data, which has your chief complaint, your history, present illness, your family history, social history, medical history, then your what procedures you went through, the diagnosis and the treatment, what medications you're on. All of that's now being sent to a centralized government. All of your prescriptions are now being done electronically through prescription, electronic software. All of your billing for any charges that you do that's billed to any insurance company is centralized through various clearinghouses for which has at the minimum the procedure done in the diagnosis code, plus all of your personal information, social security number, all that. So all of that is kept in all these databases now, and Palantir has access to this, which is supposed to be private, HIPAA. But they say, oh, we get some special permission to use this because we have a contract with federal government, so we're going to be doing that. So now they have access to all this information. Now, why do you think they centralize health records? Now, many of you don't know this. Why they centralize health records? At the level of government rather than centralize the records at the level of the provider. Which is okay, that's fine. To put your medical records in the hands of the doctor, it's perfect, electronically. So if he's at home, he can go check your records and see how to treat you. So in an emergency, there's access to the charts. You don't have to look for a file. Everything is on a computer. Okay, we can figure it out. Okay, because doctors were very, very backwards. A couple of decades ago, they were still on paper. So anyway, no, that is not Obamacare. It's called the High-Tech Act. Why do you think? So anyway, the reason that if you actually know the internals of the discussions and why they actually want to centralize the health records, it's because they wanted bureaucrats to get in between you and the doctor to tell the doctor no to treatment. They were going to have government bureaucrats, insurance bureaucrats get in and say, no, we want you to die. You're costing us too much. So we will refuse you that treatment. This is now no longer a choice of the doctor. We will intervene before the doctor even places the order. We want to intervene based on the facts that we have in the database. We will say no. Now, they haven't gotten to this yet, but that's been the plan. That's been the plan. They want to actually intercept the procedure order when they order a procedure or order anything. Let's say they want to order an MRI and they said, oh, MRI is not justified. Stop it before they do the order. They actually wanted to do that. Or hip replacement. Oh, no, you're not going to get a hip replacement. So the High-Tech Act ruined. The High-Tech Act was created by a bunch of people in the Obama administration that says, we know everything. We're going to decide how health care is going to be given out to each and every one of you. We're not going to allow the doctors to decide everything. Government, this is like a communism here. Government will decide what's best for each one of you. So if Obama got another couple of terms, or if Clinton were president, this actually started out during the first Clinton administration. That's when they started thinking about this. I know, I was in the meetings discussing some of this. And that's why I hate this industry. That's why I left that industry, because I just didn't like it. It's like, mass surveillance at its best in a medical application. Mass surveillance at its best. And that's what they were doing way back when. And so I left the industry. As you know, I'm one of the, for those of you who don't know this, I'm one of the inventors of electronic health records. So this is something that is something I'm very, very familiar with. I'm one of the few people who started this zucking industry on electronic health records. I don't want to be anywhere near the zucking industry. And it was ruined all by a bunch of bureaucrats that said, we want to control healthcare to that degree. We want to, they didn't stop at saying we want to have electronic medical records to make doctors more efficient. No, that is actually not the purpose. That's what I thought was the reason. Electronic health records to get better care and have more efficiency in medical care and cut the cost down. No, that's not what they're saying. These things were made to say, we want to cut down the cost of healthcare by controlling healthcare directly at the level of the bureaucrats over the doctors. So this is another one of these data mining pieces that are being collected by companies like Palantir, and it really, really bothers me because I know exactly what was sent to these health information exchanges. I also know who can access them. This is one of the just some facts that you may not be aware of. Did you know that the health information exchanges can be read by many people? Somebody can go in there and get access to somebody's files if you're in healthcare. So you could be a nurse working for another doctor and you could go check somebody out in the state. You may not have any connection to that person, but nothing stops you from going in there and looking at somebody else's record. Yeah, they'll log it. Nothing stops them. So, given that many people have access to our medical records, it's supposed to be HIPAA protected. HIPAA BS. Zucking BS HIPAA. HIPAA was actually started during the Clinton administration. HIPAA was started. The Health Information Portability Protection Act was intended to help the people who were suffering from AIDS back in the 80s. And what it is was people who were suffering from AIDS couldn't get a job because it was getting reported that they had AIDS. And so they wanted to make sure there was a way to protect the data to say, hey, we don't want you to get affected in employment and so on, and coverage and insurance, because they were getting information about possible HIV status. So that's really where this came from, HIPAA. It's just been twisted around now, and actually HIPAA doesn't do anything. For example, anyone in IT can access records in any medical system. So if I was in IT, I can access the database of any one of my many, many, many thousands of clients using. So I'm talking, tens of thousands of doctors using our system. I can actually go look at every patient. Millions of patients. Millions. I can go access them. I could go access records of patients in Beverly Hills, movie stars. So, in fact, well known that the biggest source of identity theft actually comes from medical data, because it has your social security number, name, address. The best source for hacking is actually medical data. And it's so easy to steal 100,000 identities from medical data, and you can actually make $6 a piece and make you could make millions off stealing databases like that. So this is kind of the scary situation here, where we're centralizing the data, centralizing the cameras, centralizing the access to it to certain third-party mercenary firms, and there's no protection for this. It just bugs me. How does a company like Palantir have access to medical data, have access to something as completely separate in a different contract with DMV, have something completely different accessing Equifax, your social media data, your voice recognition data? What else is in there? And people are saying, just from the interest in my broadcast right now, I can tell you that most people said, who fucking cares? We don't fucking care about this. This is not important. Yep, that's what I'm dealing with every day. That's why I do these broadcasts. It's very frustrating, because it's well, we don't really care about that. We don't really care about that. What you're talking about is nonsense. It's nothing I need to care about. We don't need to care that you care about leaving Facebook. I keep telling you, leave Facebook. Why? Because Facebook is based on your real name. Therefore, what you do on Facebook is extracted and put into the Palantir databases. That cannot happen if you're not on Facebook. And people say, well, there's no real risk. No real risk. What do you think Cambridge Analytica was, people? Cambridge Analytica got a personality profile of 50 million Americans, which they then extrapolated to I believe 200 million Americans, and had a personality profile of each of you. And the personality profile was used to manipulate the elections. Personality profile was used to manipulate the elections. And you say, well, this data is not important. It doesn't have any impact on us. All these cameras out there, well, they're not going to do anything in my life. I don't do anything. I'm pretty boring. I live a boring life. So, we don't really care. Oh, my medical record's being centralized. They're going to use it for a good purpose. Maybe they'll cure cancer. So what do you think about what I'm saying here? I mean, I'm disgusted by this. Requiring to have a Facebook profile to get a Zucking visa. Zuck that. It is true they have even targeted people who don't vote. Yes, Matt, I'm sure they did. That's part of the thing is to keep people from voting. That's actually part of the program. Keep people from voting. So you come to me and say, well, we don't really care. All this data on Facebook, all the surveillance and all this databases, they don't really have any impact. And they don't have any impact, and yet billions are being spent by these companies like Palantir and Jigsaw to collect that data, analyze it, and see how they can manipulate you. They're spending billions to manipulate you and understand each and every one of your personalities, and you're saying, oh, they're just wasting their billions. That will serve them no purpose. Well, to give you a very, very simple use of this that didn't even include Palantir, an investment firm said, we want to find out if get some inside information on Tesla without getting real inside information on Tesla. We want to find out how many employees Tesla has, and we can't know that on a quarterly basis in advance of the earnings announcements. So we want to know if Tesla is actually ramping up their hiring. So what do? They paid somebody, a third party, to collect all the data they're collecting from you now on all locations. All of these phones, or these spy bricks, are collecting your locations, and people, you don't care. I know you don't care. These spy bricks are collecting your locations, storing it into, every time you go to sites like Yelp and Craigslist and whatever else, Weather Channel and I don't know what, 1,000 of these apps are actually selling your location data. Any app that asks for location is selling the location data to a central company. Okay? It's going to a central company, and then they're actually recording that. And saying, okay, this Lucifer guy has been going to all of these places. He's been going to Lucifer Church. He's been, going to that, porn shop across the street. He's been hanging out over at this bar, the strip bar. He's been doing all this. This goes to all these websites and on and on and on. So they have all this information about this Lucifer guy. Okay, and we reacted and say, oh, who cares? Who cares? Well, they have information about everything you do. And, you may be comfortable with that. That is just irks the hell out of me. Irks the hell out of me. You believe they have no info about you? Sorry, Lucifer. You have Equifax. So they got a lot of information on you. You have a medical record. You have an IRS record. All they need to do is match that to your social media, and you are truly zucked. They assure us they only use it while app is in use. Incorrect. One actual human. Incorrect. So one actual human said, they promise it's used only in the app. No, I'm going to tell you a little secret you didn't know about. Okay. Facebook, this is on their data policy. Facebook has shown that they do Wi-Fi triangulation directly. They're collecting data for Wi-Fi triangulation, meaning they're looking for Wi-Fi routers around you and storing that and forwarding that to the central Facebook database, which means they can identify the location, your exact location, just from using the app. They don't have to give permission because they're not actually accessing the location from the phone. They're accessing the location through the network. Because they're not accessing the location through the phone, you could turn off location and they can still find out your zucking location just by having the Facebook app. They can even track your MAC addresses. It's on the data policy. I already discussed this. They have that. The data policy shows that they're actually tracking even the MAC address of the devices. What the hell is the purpose for this? The purpose for this is to track location without asking for your zucking permission. They don't have to ask for the permission. They can just use it. Because you say when you use Facebook, you're giving them access to everything. Because they say, well, we didn't lie. It's in our data policy. They're not lying. When you agreed to use Facebook, you agreed to give them all that data. It's in their data policy, and they're not lying and hiding it. It's in there, except nobody cares what I'm talking about. Nobody cares. Somebody asked me on YouTube, but I want to use the Facebook store. I want to run a business through Facebook. What about that? Is that safe? It's like, come on, people. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. You're making these decisions knowing that they're actually out there purposely trying to collect all this, and you're saying, well, I guess, I got to talk to my relatives, so I guess I got to go stay on Facebook. No. My answer is, fuck you, relatives. If you're going to stay on Facebook, then I'm not going to talk to you. You're not going to last long. I got your IP address. So this is like, Donnie, there have been, I'm sure, 1,000 earthquakes, and I did not feel any. Haven't felt any. So if you see my microphone shaking, it's because I'm shaking the piano. Yeah, this is from shaking the piano. This is not from an earthquake. If you see the shaking again here, it's not from an earthquake. If I can stay away from the doctor for 7 years, they could destroy the records, right? What? Mad cow? Where'd you get that information? It's a cradle to grave record. What is this destroy records thing you're talking about? Cradle to grave record of healthcare. Do you think superheroes use social media? Zuck, yes. Cradle to grave record. They can't do that. Oh, yeah? Doctors do not have to keep records beyond 7 years. They keep it for legal reasons. So they don't have to keep the record for 7 years. The government can keep it for your entire lifetime or beyond. There's no rule because it's electronic. They can keep it as long as they want. You better not curse at me. You better not zucking curse at me. They only used to hold the records for tax purposes. No, mad cow. They held on to records for statute of limitations I'm talking doctors for lawsuits. So that's why they keep the records for lawsuits, and the government can keep it as long as they want because it's an electronic database, and they want to actually keep it. This is an actual desire. They want to use it for a cradle to grave record. So we're not even just thinking about just Batman here, in his car being identified. We're talking about each and every one of us. It's now in a situation where there's so much of us being collected. There's so much information being collected about each and every one of us to an extreme level, and we're reacting to it saying, who cares? So just as an example of this, my brother, again, emails me a document, and it was like, this just bugs the hell out of me. And I went and braxed me and hammered him and said, why are you emailing me a document? I do not take emails. I do not take emails. It's crazy. So it sounds like I'll need to get a passport just to see a doctor. So it sounds like I need to get a passport just to see a doctor. Mad Cow, just go to the Mexican border with a driver's license. Don't they RFID driver's license? They'll take that. Go to Mexico, get treated there, buy some drugs from the cartel, and then come on back. Oh my gosh, I bet you told him 1,000 times that emails are zucked. It's just, I don't know. You know, it's it's kind of crazy that, I'm talking to deaf ears, and people ask me, I know you're very concerned about Facebook. They come to me. Yes, I've been to Mexico, John. I've sailed to Mexico. You don't need a passport to go to Mexico now. So, you know, yes, you do. Well, not in the times I've been. When I come back, they just ask me, "Are you an American citizen?" I said yes. They didn't even look at anything. They just asked me, "Are you an American citizen?" I said yes. You've gotten ticketed? I guess I was in a bus. So, a bus full of obvious Americans. So, you know, the bus didn't look like, it was a bus of sailors. We were all sailors. So, we did one of the races to Mexico. And so we were, instead of sailing back, you take the bus back so it's a little faster. So I sailed. I took the bus back from Mexico, and I didn't have any passport. I just had a driver's license. Law changed about 8 years ago. Well, I was on a cruise ship that required a passport. Cruise ship requires a passport. But if you, I didn't, I wasn't aware that if you travel by car that you need a passport. Like, you don't need a passport to go to Canada. A driver's license is fine. Bus full of rich white guys and white girls. Yeah, so the bus was filled with, obvious, American looking people. Okay. Uh, so, it was like, I'm probably one of the few Asians. I mean, it's probably 99% white. So 99% white. Okay, maybe 98% white. The rest would be me as the only Asian, and maybe some Hispanics. Couple. I lived in Del Rio. That doesn't happen. So anyway, we don't. You're not. Well, we don't accept you. Yes, exactly. So anyway, so I went. Yeah, if I look Hispanic, they might have stopped me. So so if I look Hispanic, they would probably stop me and say, do you have a green card? But they just asked me if I were a citizen, and I said yes. End of story. Sick to your own kind, you slant-eyed dog eater. Uh, so anyway, I wonder if Lucifer is actually J Monkey Man J. So is that your new name? It's Monkey Man J. It's Lucifer. It's like some of these weirdos in here. Anyway, uh, so just showing you that I am very very perturbed about how the surveillance uh, infrastructure of America has gotten so sophisticated now that truly it's no longer feasible to be a quiet terrorist in the U.S. It's pretty hard to do. It's pretty hard to do. It's even hard, I would say, to be a Russian sleeper cell. It's pretty hard to do too now. And somebody like Kelp will say, "Oh, that's perfect. This will save our country. This having this kind of surveillance is really good for our country because we won't have terrorists anymore." Yeah, you won't have terrorists, but you'll have dictators and you'll have deep states. Because somebody and deep state doesn't have to be government. It can be a separate entity. It could be J.P. Morgan. It could be the city of L.A. It could be the federal government. It could be the National Zucking Agency. It could be the Zucking IA, the Zucking BI. Anyone that has somebody in there who's a rogue guy that says, "Oh, we want to protect our country by controlling people," and any one of those types of people have access to this data. Oh my gosh, we are so zucked. I'm a we're gonna go. We're so zucked. Goodness. So so anyway, although the title is specifically talking about Batman, see, Batman is hiding. Batman seeks to hide. He uses his superpowers. He doesn't have any superpowers. Batman doesn't have superpowers. Batman is a tech guy. Batman is a tech guy. Okay? And he's also lucky because none of his enemies want to kill him. They always want to go torture him. He never gets killed. He just gets tortured. So Batman is a tech guy. He doesn't really have any superpowers. So somebody like Batman is kind of, trying to hide and do good things for his neighborhood, kind of like me doing tech things, right? Can't do it anymore because he can't hide and he can't keep his identity secret, and he'll be found out to be Mr. Wayne, the billionaire. So it's gonna be found out to be Mr. Wayne. So this is the situation now. The world is changing, and this has happened in the last 10 years, and we went around and said, "Oh, we don't care." In the last 10 years, your medical records have been centralized. Your car movements all over the city and the cameras. All of this has happened in the last 10 years. Social media, your activities and your ideas being collected on the internet from Facebook with your real name on it. All of these things are just happening. Equifax getting all the data stolen and now exported out so that every hacker out there knows your credit rating. All of that has happened in the last 10 years. And our reaction is, we don't care. So, we don't care. So anyway, yep, isn't that funny? In the last 10 years, the world has changed. Facebook, all of this, all the social media, all the cell phones, is the spy brick that this is. The spy brick here. That's why, you should have a BlackBerry, an old BlackBerry. These spy bricks only started spying on you in the last 10 years. 10 years. So all of this has happened in the last 10 years, and we let it happen. We just said, oh, and I've been talking about this for 4 sucking years. 4 sucking years I've been talking about it here on Periscope. And this is only 10 years. So it started when these millennials who are now in their 30s. It started when these millennials were in their 20s. And if the millennials in their 20s now, it started when they were in high school. Okay, it started out with right about the time the Snapchat became popular. It started at the time when people left MySpace. That was it. Now, at that time when they left MySpace and went to Facebook and went to Snapchat, that was it. So this is where we are in 10 years. We went from relative individual obscurity to now being in a spy database, all in a matter of 10 years, and we didn't react to it. So we didn't react to it. So here we are. And this Lucifer guy thinks he's actually, anonymous. What a joke. You actually think you're anonymous. Why don't you give me your email address, Lucifer? I'll email you a pic. Give me your email address. I'll email you a pic. Answer is getting off the grid. Yeah. The answer is to deprive him of information and to give disinformation. Doing the things that I do to give disinformation at all times confuses them. For example, don't be so quick to go out on social media and be so adamant about your political opinion. Why not express your political opinion with an anonymous account? Set up 2 anonymous accounts. One on the left and one on the right. Set up your own account with your own name on it with no opinion. Have a VPN so they're confused. They can't match it to whatever you're doing. Do not have a Facebook account because that will match you 100%. Because Facebook will track you even when you're just using the mobile app. Always use a pseudo identity. Go to Google Activity Controls and shut down all of the things that they track. Do not use Google for searching. Go use an ad blocker. My VPN as an ad blocker so that they don't track you that way. I mean, all of these little tricks give this information because they don't get to collect information about your real name. They're going to find you will have multiple identities, and the whole goal is that the identities do not connect to your real identity. Your real identity is on the internet. So your job is to make sure that people don't connect you to your real identity, but instead connects you to some of these fake identities, which may or may not be what you believe in. So, that's my only ammunition. If enough people do this, we can really confuse their database and say, whoa, we may know a lot about you, but if we don't know who you are, because you're using Tor, you're using a VPN, you're following all these steps to not be on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, give up. If you're on Facebook, give up. There's nothing I can do for you. I'm sorry. If you're on Facebook, my talking to you is not going to do any good because I can't alter the fact that Facebook will spot you everywhere, including when you're not on Facebook. There's nothing I can do. If you're going to remain on Facebook, nothing I can do. You're zucked. They will match everything you do off Facebook to Facebook, and that's it. There's nothing more I can do for you. Don't come to me and say, some of you come to me, like in the last few weeks, several people have said, I need to recover my Facebook account. Help me. I lost my password. I've been hacked on Facebook. It's like, who cares? Get hacked. What about Instagram? Gosh. You can be addicted to social media. Just do not have a Facebook account and don't use your real name. Instagram will force you to use Facebook because Instagram is owned by Facebook. WhatsApp will connect you to Facebook. So when I say don't use Facebook, don't use any of them. If you're gonna, if you really can't help being on Instagram, create a totally isolated account that has nothing to do with Facebook. You're iked on IG. Maybe the hacks are blessings in disguise. Are Instagram and FB not separate? They keep the servers in the same location, the same data servers. Come on, man. Instagram is owned by Zuck. WhatsApp is owned by Zuck. They're even stored in the same Zucking servers. What is Parler? Facebook bought Instagram. That was Helen. That's kind of so long ago. that is so long ago. Have you played an unsung? No, I don't play anything because nobody listens. If I play music, people leave. So I decide that I'm just gonna play what I want to play at the moment and then delete it. So I was telling the guy who, yes, I know Helen. No, it's just that it was obviously many years ago that Facebook bought WhatsApp and Instagram. You're my only, and I'm unable to catch most broadcasts. Yeah, so man to listen to, yes. So when I talk about the dangers of Facebook, I'm also talking about the dangers of Instagram. However, on Instagram, you can set up Instagram without your real name on it. So if you're going to do that, you must not have any Facebook account. Okay? You must not have a Facebook account. So I knew social media platforms was to be good for conservative, pro-free speech, no censoring. You mean like Gab? Which goes nowhere because what happened is, you're preaching to the choir. There's very little activity on a Gab site because you're preaching to the choir. Everyone else is in the same opinion. Braxme has no opinion. Braxme is completely free. You can be on the left or the right. Doesn't care. So on my app, there's no left, right, or anything. But I don't espouse any political belief. I believe in freedom. I think it's supposed to be better than Gap. It doesn't mean anything, Caffeine, because the problem is once you go to a site that purports to be conservative or liberal, only one of those, then you start preaching to the choir, and then nobody's going to actually go there because there's nobody to debate with. Because everyone, you see, it believes the same thing. So therefore, there's no activity. On Brax.me, there's a political, very busy political politics room. Thank you for coming by, man, to listen to. On Brax.me, there's a political site that, broke down here. Anyway, I'm gonna close it down anyway. I'm gonna end. Okay, I'm gonna. Uh, okay, we're not back. We're gonna be looping here, so we're gonna end the broadcast. And thank you for coming tonight. Uh, unstable internet, unstable Wi-Fi. So I was gonna end anyway, so it was just appropriate time. So okay, I'm not familiar with that, John. Okay, so thank you for coming, guys. I'll see you next week, and I will continue working on videos this coming week. Thanks for coming. Good night.